Hey guys, welcome back for another reaction. Today I'll be reacting to American culture shocks in Germany. Let's find out what shocks American the most in Germany. Let's go.
Every car I noticed was like a tiny hatchback.
First of all, how good the food was. Very few disposable anything.
So many environments have little places for children to play. Much more of a welcoming environment.
We've gone out a lot. We've done restaurants. We've been going to breweries and whatnot.
Do as the locals do.
Way cleaner, smelled better.
I found that to be not entirely the case.
The layers upon layers, it will get hot. They're all of a sudden down to like a t-shirt.
Stay out of the bike lanes.
Right, absolutely, that's the number one rule.
Oh.
We're currently on our way from Heidelberg, Germany to Berlin. And when I say we, I mean 22 Americans who are traveling with Ben and me on our 2024 Germany group trip. For some of them, it's their very first time here in Germany, or even in Europe in general. And we've now been on the road for a little over a week. So I want to know which culture shocks or cultural differences they've noticed here in Germany over the last 9 days. So let's ask.
What I thought was huge is just how active the Germans are. They're out, they're all walking, they're on the bikes all the time.
Yep.
Their crosswalks are enormous compared to ours because so many people are out and about.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Awesome. Was it your first time in Germany?
Yes.
First time.
I thought American was also active, but I guess there's a lot of obese in the US, but yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
won't be the last.
Nice.
Well, I think the thing that really stands out to me was, and we've gone out a lot. We've done restaurants. We've been going to breweries and whatnot. I mean, when in Germany, why not?
Do as the locals do.
Is the ability to have conversations with people here in Germany. In the United States, if you go out, you're usually surrounded by loud music and loud TVs. But in Germany, it's all about conversation and being able to communicate with people, whether it's a smaller group, whether it's a larger group. So that really stood out to me in the best possible way because we've been in a nice group here and we've been able to bounce around from person to person, have good conversations. So yeah, I think Germany definitely lends itself to experiencing social life in a way where you can really connect with people because you can have conversations with them.
A couple of things actually stood out to me.
That's so nice. I mean, I like having conversation. I hate when the restaurant music is too loud, and that's everywhere in the US, especially if you go to like bar foods or bar restaurant. Is so loud.
First is how many people ride bikes just as a regular mode of transport.
Wait,
Everyone
really?
does it, and it's really cool to see the fact that there are actual bike paths in the city that are intentional, that regular people who walk cannot walk in.
Yep.
It's in, for that purpose is really cool. Makes a lot.
I guess bike is easier to go around, especially if it's traffic. You can just go on the small light on the side. That's really cool.
A lot easier. And the second thing is, you hear about German customer service not being as good as American customer service. I found that to be not entirely the case. Like everyone I talked to was supremely patient.
Nice.
When I was asking for, the check or anything else, trying to struggle through German, they were all really nice and patient with me, and they were accommodating if I had a request. I have to say it was really nice.
Awesome, I'm glad to hear that. And the thing about people not being able to walk in the bike lanes, did you have the experience that like you got yelled at or?
I had to move out of the way a couple times pretty quickly. I didn't get hit, thank goodness, but I did have to take evasive action.
Yeah, that happens. One thing that always travels with me, no matter where I go, is PIA, private internet access. I turn it on whenever I log into the hotel Wi-Fi or when I want to access here, but as if you got me hooked on that. Patient to can access me, but you can watch ad-free PIA address, try PIA, and you'll get 4 to PIA for sponsoring.
But two of them,
One thing that stood out to you. Check it out down below, and thank you so much to PIA for sponsoring this video. And Nancy, what's something that stood out to you?
so there are many things, but two of them mostly was I did a lot of observing of children while I was here. and really appreciated the way so many environments, like restaurants and stuff, have little places for children to play and to color, and it's kind of like much more of a welcoming environment. Even in the United States, we can bring our children to those environments, but there isn't like this welcoming, like we want children to be here. I work at a college and I teach early childhood classes, and I talk a lot about how we are I say risk averse. Like we are so worried about our kids getting scrapes on their knees and on their elbows. And the attitude in Germany and many other European countries is that if you give children the risks, they will learn how to take those risks and be safe. So it's just a very different way of either overprotecting them so they don't get hurt, or allowing them to learn how to keep themselves safe. And I like that type better.
Yeah,
That's a nice explanation.
And you filmed the playgrounds here in Germany, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Mark did. My husband did, but yes.
How are those different from American playgrounds?
Well, for one, there's a lot of wood on the playgrounds. And of course, in America, we're worried about kids getting splinters. So we take the wood off the playground. But the structures are taller and higher. There are like rope type things that kids can walk in that they could slip their feet through and maybe get hurt. But I think they're all the appropriate challenges that, quite honestly, when I was young, I had by climbing in trees and doing all of those things out in the real world. The other one that I really noticed is that when it comes to disabilities, I noticed how difficult it is to get around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like even for myself, finding bathrooms. But if I was in a wheelchair, it would be really difficult.
That's right. That
Really
has a lot to do with how historical Europe is, of course, and how buildings are built more up high with stairs and everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
I actually, when I'm in the United States, when I went to Washington, D.C., noticed how difficult it is. I mean, they've made a lot of accommodations there, but it takes a lot when the buildings are older.
There's a lot of catching up to do for sure.
Yeah.
I think the quality of the workmanship and the facilities and the construction materials really makes a great impression on me, particularly the windows, the doors, the plumbing fixtures. They're all outstanding. They're really, really well built, and they operate perfectly. I think in the United States we try to cut some corners on some of those materials, but not in Germany. It's just outstanding, and I really appreciate the craftsmanship.
I've always noticed the doors for sure, but I never really paid attention to the fixtures, like that there's a difference in quality there.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy is really observant.
We've seen similar ones in the Netherlands areas and so forth, but it's just very impressive to see the craftsmanship and the workmanship and the attention to detail in the different building materials.
Yeah.
And likewise, all of the buildings and so forth, just very, very solid, very good.
First of all, how good the food
nice.
was. In America, maybe Germany has a poor reputation for food, but it was actually delicious everywhere we went. It was very tasty. The traditional German food was excellent, and then also just non-traditional food like Italian and some of the ramen we had was really good.
Yeah.
So everything that we ate was fantastic. One thing that did surprise me was in America, we also hear how much deference is paid to World War II and things that took place, and how much education is provided to the German citizens about everything that took place. So it surprised me when we were at the Nuremberg Trials Museum and a group of German teenagers came in and really were kind of loud and kind of noisy in sort of a sacred space. But I think that's also just kids can be kids, teens can be teens. That's sort of universal around the world. So, and I think after the guard reminded them to be quiet, they were very respectful after that.
That's interesting. I remember the first time that we went to a concentration camp in 9th grade. Everyone's 15, 14 years old, right? And I think it's also almost like a coping mechanism a little bit, because everyone knows it's like really, really heavy. But also you're on a school trip. Everyone's excited that they don't have to be in the classroom that day. So it's kind of like a balance act between the two. But I remember we were there in 9th grade and we were kind of loud too, but that doesn't mean that it didn't affect us.
Right.
I think everyone kind of tried to play it cool a little bit too.
Yeah, kids can be kids, and they're just loud sometimes, so I guess we just have to respect that.
Sure.
I noticed how prepared Germans seem to be. Like, the weather obviously changes here so much, but the layers upon layers, it will get hot. they're all of a sudden down to like a t-shirt. It starts pouring. They have their raincoat ready. So
Wait,
it's just
what?
like
Really?
everything is just a little bit more prepared than I think we think about in the States.
I absolutely agree about that because whenever I go out with Ben, I'll be like, yeah, don't you want to bring something to wear later? It's going to get cold. We're going to take the bike. And he's like, no, I'll be fine. You know, I can wear the same outfit all day long. And I'll bring like a
Wow.
sweater and a raincoat and an umbrella and sunglasses and sunscreen because you never know what the weather is going to do. And we actually have a word for that too. In German, we call it Zwiebellook, onion look, because you dress up like an onion with lots of layers.
Lots of layers. There you go.
But to
That's
add to
funny.
that, when we were
yeah, that
in
was funny.
Heidelberg last night, it started to rain after our dinner. So I threw my poncho on, and as we walked back to the hotel, Shayna was behind me, and she was noticing quite a few people laughing at me, chuckling a few points. So maybe the ponchos are looked as a little, you know,
Maybe not such a stylish
right,
thing
not
to
so
wear.
stylish, and it definitely was not stylish.
A lot of Germans have very expensive functional wear. You know, the
Right.
good
Whoa.
raincoats.
Yes.
So
The
you're
Jack
saying they
Wolfskin.
don't wear a garbage bag when
Yeah,
they're walking.
exactly.
A couple of things I noticed at first, honestly. You know, being tourists as we are, we went to a lot of tourist destinations. But I was actually surprised to see that a lot of the prices for souvenirs or just things that you need in day-to-day life, umbrellas, as we needed many times
Yes.
on this trip.
Typical German weather.
But the prices were actually very reasonable.
Mhm.
Even where, you know, normally as an
That's
American,
nice.
those tourist destinations, I would expect them to be highly elevated, just
Yep.
inflated pricings. But I was very surprised to see that everything was very affordably priced. And then when we went to the grocery store this morning, again, I was expecting to pay $20, $25, and what I bought was about $9.
Yep.
Whoa, that's really nice because a lot of tourist spots really take advantage of the tourists. They just hijack the prices, and I hate that. But you just need to buy the stuff because you need them.
I thought that was really cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, actually, on that topic, Ben, behind the camera, gets a snow globe everywhere he goes. And I think the most expensive snow globe was when we went to Asheville in the US at Biltmore. And your snow globe was what, like $50?
Oh my
$50.
gosh.
How much do you
That's
pay here in
a
Germany?
lot.
$9 or €9 in this case. Yeah. Crazy, right?
And this may be a European thing. I'm not
crazy.
sure or not. We were in Nuremberg. We were walking down the street one day, and I was looking at all the different cars. They have a lot of different models here that we don't have in the United States. But every car I noticed was like a tiny hatchback,
Yeah.
which we don't have many of. I'm from the South, Alabama, and what you're going to see there are large pickup trucks, SUVs, large Suburbans, large cars.
Yeah.
But everything I saw, I was like hatchback, and I thought that was very interesting.
Very true. I think that is a European thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, and again, a lot of models I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I really noticed, honestly, was it was a little difficult to find drip coffee.
Oh.
Or filter coffee.
Yep.
Filter coffee. I would go in and be like, hey, do you just have black coffee? And they're like, no. Do you know a cappuccino? Or I was like, it's been great. Wonderful experience. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
And then just like Joshua said, stay out of the bike lanes.
Right. Absolutely. That's the number one rule.
What stood out to me the most was the quality of the food. It was fresh food wherever you went.
Wow,
It didn't matter
second time.
if you were in a restaurant or if you were at the local store that would be equivalent to CVS. There was fresh food, and everything was available. Cheeses, meats, and fruits and
Whoa.
vegetables, and the quality was fantastic.
And quality beer too.
Yeah.
I just thought that the taste and how pure and clean it was, the beer was really good.
Do you have
Wow, this is the second time the person or these people mention how good the food in Germany, and I'm very excited to try it. I really can't wait to visit Germany one day and try it myself. That'll be cool.
favorite beer?
Of all the beers, so we went to Rothenburg and knew some friends of friends there, and so they had Turmhaus, which I guess was just a little tiny thing in Rothenburg that was my favorite.
And the transportation, being able to get around by train and being able to travel and go here and there, and the amount of people that were biking and just the conversation in
that's
the streets.
convenient.
You'd see people conversing casually and just having a great time. So yeah, it was a great experience.
I don't think Cincinnati has a lot of that transportation just because of the amount of hills.
Oh, yeah.
Makes it really hard for people to bike and get around and that kind of stuff. But you know, how many times we had to stop loading the bus today
Yeah.
because all of the people riding the bikes going by.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
the fact that they don't have very few disposable anything, like no disposable forks and disposable, you know, plates and all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, at one time growing up, they had all bottles had deposits on them, and they've gone back to that. Like Michigan still does that,
Yeah.
you know. But you know, since it's just easier for people to just throw stuff away,
Yeah.
so the use and not throwing everything away was really
Striking.
that was a big
Yeah.
difference.
That's a really good point, yeah.
There certainly wasn't much culture shock
Mhm.
because I was born here and I grew up here. So,
Right. I feel like the hat gives it away too.
so I got to see the small town where I grew up before we met, and then
He kind of reminds me of Dumbledore, or whatever his name, like in Harry Potter.
by coincidence, we drove through the town where I was born on the way to Heidelberg. But the two things that struck me the most, one of them pretty trivial. In Bavaria and somewhat in Baden-Württemberg, I noticed that the crops were corn. There were a lot of corn crops.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
Interesting.
And the second thing, even though I knew it abstractly before I came here, but seeing how active outdoors Germans in particular, but Europeans in general are. That really struck me is when the weather was nice, and especially on a weekend, everybody was out on a bicycle, they're hiking, they're riding their
that was so
bikes.
nice.
Okay, Scott, I know that you were on my last Germany trip too, so it's not your first time in this country, but what's something that stood out to you, whether it was last time or this time here in Germany?
I like the trams and the trains in the cities. You can get around very easily, very inexpensively. And I like the old architecture and the old cities. We just don't have anything like that in the U.S.
Once I recovered from like the jet lag, just walking down the street, how there's just a lot more people out walking. I noticed there was a lot more like fruit stands and that sort of thing out and about.
Of course, it's summertime
Way
right now
cleaner,
too. Oh yeah.
smelled better. Yeah, I think that was probably the first things initially that I noticed.
Even though I'm a rule follower and I kind of like how people here follow rules, sometimes they do so to a ridiculous degree.
Yeah.
Like standing at a red light until it turns green, which could be a while.
Yeah.
Even if no cars are coming for a long, long ways. And they get angry at you if you break the rules, and they really want you to know that they're angry about it.
Did you have that experience?
Yes, someone honked at me when I accidentally crossed when the light for bicycles had turned red.
Wow.
Just like a second before, and he was like, no, you follow the rules.
Oh my God.
But the first time I was here, I think the biggest surprise to me is that people can carry beers around everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Wait, that's allowed?
oh my gosh, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. Everyone has a beer in their hand, and they're getting on the train,
That's
and they're
too
hanging
early.
out, and the evenings seem more like a social time than just to get home.
True. I feel like we also saw that a lot on this trip because it's July. Summer break is about to start for Bayern and Baden-Württemberg, and a lot of the days were very nice weather. I mean, we had a little bit of rain too, but we saw a lot of nice evenings in like Nuremberg or in Munich also, where people were just hanging out at the public squares with a beer or, you know, at the side of the river and just enjoying themselves.
Yes. So being outside seems to be more of a priority.
Yeah. I know this wasn't your first time in Germany. You've been all around.
Yes, no, this is our third time in Germany. So I was thinking about what is a new culture shock to me here. And one small one was burnt das Brot.
Yeah. We talked about it quite a lot. On this trip.
Yeah. The other one to me was, we talked about a little bit at like children's playgrounds, that measured risk, that kind of slight danger that's built into them and everything, and that I found that kind of fascinating.
And do you remember what your first culture shocks were when you came to Germany or to Europe for the first time?
This is really stereotypical, but I would say it was the service.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
Even how you have to twist their arm to even bring you the bill.
Yeah. You're like, please let me pay. Please come back.
We have much to do still.
Yeah. Also, Devin has a really cool Instagram page. He makes custom bikes. So you can check him out on Instagram at Alchemist Custom Bicycles. I'm going to put it right here. Have you ever been to Germany? If so, what was the thing that stood out to you the most?
That was a very cool video and really informative. I love their insights. But yeah, I can't wait to visit Germany to try them myself. Ugh. But anyway, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below what else should I react to. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.